Hey guys, SoCal Val here. You are listening to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast.
Welcome everybody back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I am your host, Adan Cousins, and it is AEW Collision Review. Now, you may be thinking, where's Andy? Good question. The pub has shut. The golf course is open, though. So I believe after a few good Jaeger bombs yesterday, Andy is now teeing off trying to get ready for the US Open that he will never win. Anyway, but lo and behold, do not worry because I haven't come empty-handed. We have a special guest that I'll introduce you to in a minute. But we do have the man that's below me on this screen, and that's the man with more gimmicks than Lacey Evans. You haven't got one today, but it's our Dynamite man, Dave Robinson, DMD. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. I'm really good. I'm on holiday. The
Yeah.
weather's really nice. We're talking wrestling. Couldn't be better.
What more could you want? Don't worry about the wife and kids that are outside playing.
Nah, they'll be okay. They can amuse themselves.
Exactly that. But we are joined by one of our special guests today, one of our followers on our show. Also does a podcast, which he'll promote later on. It's Josh King. Josh, how are you doing?
Peace to everyone. I'm super good. Thank you so much for having me on. Absolutely buzzing to discuss and break down last night's Collision, but also pulling an all-nighter for Forbidden Door tonight. Absolutely buzzed.
Too old for that for me, unfortunately. I wish I could.
A lot of coffee or a lot of Monster Energy drink. What you going for, Josh?
I'm going to mix it up and just go for both. So
my
insides will be destroyed come 7 a.m. But
just don't go for Prime.
No,
definitely not.
It's cheap, nasty stuff. So I'll go with the watermelon Monster, 2 hot big cups of coffee, and see what happens. Just get through.
Indeed, that's the best way of doing it. Right. So Collision was in the Scottsback Arena in Ontario, Canada. Obviously, our two great commentators were McGuinness and Kevin Kelly. Tony Schiavone starts the show. He was going to welcome Sting and Darby Allin, but unfortunately, one half of the Sex God comes out with Jericho and Suzuki, basically wanting to know who the third man was. Now, there was rumors that it would be Goldberg, and I'm so glad that those rumors wasn't true. And it turned out now I cannot pronounce Japanese names for shit, as Dave knows on this show, but I'm going to have a go. Naito. Dave?
Yeah. No, I go to Naito, but Naito's fine. I might be wrong there, man.
Okay.
I'm no expert.
Anyway, turns out he was the partner. I think they kind of spoiled this because they had an autograph signing that they announced him for before Collision. But that match was made official, and it's a six-man. Dave, are you also glad that it wasn't Goldberg?
Yeah, I don't think we need Goldberg in that match. Yeah, like we said previously on podcasts, I don't begrudge Goldberg one last match or one last run if that's what he wants to do. And if it's in AEW, so be it. But I'm not desperate to see it. But yeah, I don't think he would have fit into this match. I know they built it on the fact that a lot of people hate Jericho, and Goldberg is probably on that list in the story. But yeah, I'm glad they went with Naito. One of his opponents from his prior Japan run, isn't it?
Yes.
So he's faced him before multiple times. So yeah, I think this will be that would be a great match.
Indeed, Josh, do you echo those thoughts?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I've got nothing against Goldberg, and second in what you just said, the guy's great. The guy's a legend. But listen, we've not seen him in New Japan. I certainly haven't. Not seen AEW yet. So the Forbidden Door is open, but not to Goldberg on this occasion. So Tetsuya Naito walking through, buzzed because huge fan of Naito. New Japan Mark shouldn't say that, but yeah, huge fan of Naito. I'm glad he's going to be through the Forbidden Door because he missed out last year for one reason or another. But I have got some thoughts on it, which I'll go on to a bit later on. But yeah, delighted that Naito is included. And yeah, Jericho and Naito worked so well in the Tokyo Dome about 4 years ago. So, let's just get the crowd buzzing for that. And let's, yeah, just excited.
I think we mentioned, Dave, that this could be where Guevara turns on Jericho or leaves Jericho.
Yeah, I think there'll be something to continue that storyline. Obviously, they did the pose, didn't they? When Suzuki did the pose with Jericho, which was quite funny, and Sammy was looking on. So maybe it goes a little bit longer and they stretch it out over a few weeks. But we're going to see Jericho versus Sammy Guevara at some point.
We are. We are.
So
indeed.
yeah, that something will happen, even if it's not the reason they lose the match. Something will definitely happen for that story to develop.
Definitely. I will say this before Collision started, one thing I did like was they interviewed all the competitors in the main event. I hadn't seen that since old school WWE days.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really like that touch. That was a really good touch from AEW.
Yeah, just before the music. Yeah. Before. That was a good shout.
And the song is still great. I'm sorry. The song is still fantastic. Miro is now, he's now not got a god with him anymore, apparently. Well,
I love this.
he's going back to Miro, the Miro hopefully that we know and love. I will ask a question to both of you, and we'll let Josh ask this first. Is he bringing his wife in for this?
You know what? That's a really good question. And I really don't know. Obviously, in the promo, he mentioned his wife.
Yeah.
Do I think this current character needs his wife as a mouthpiece, if that's the plan? Because I think a lot of us would think if CJ or Lana is coming in, she would be a mouthpiece. He doesn't need that.
No.
He can speak well enough now. He's a destroyer. He's a redeemer. He just turns up, does his job, and gets the hell out of there. I think having a female manager that's your wife, that's a mouthpiece, would mean that he would potentially win matches in a more of an illegal way, we'll put it that way. Yeah. He doesn't need that. He's a monster heel. So I'd love to see her back. I'd love to see her with him. Does he need it? Not in my opinion.
Is that what you think as well, Dave?
Yeah, much the same. I would be happier if Lana came in and joined the women's division. I think she came on leaps and bounds towards the end of a WWE run, and I think it was a bit of a surprise when they released her. So I'd welcome her into AEW with open arms. As Josh says, totally agree. Miro doesn't need it. His character as it is, with him cutting these promos, so good. They're funny as well. I always find myself laughing when he's doing them, even though he's such this this monster character, and he comes out and he destroys people. There's an element of comedy as well when he's talking about his god and that traitor, or whatever he called him. So yeah, just more of this for me. I would leave Miro, this character, leave it alone, more of it and more matches. But if Lana joins AEW, great.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen enough of Miro yet, have we? I mean, for one reason or another, he hasn't been showcased. Whether he refused to do storylines or not is another thing. That's not a conversation for this show. But I want to see more of him. I think he's a world champion waiting to happen. So let's see more Miro, please, more Redeemer. The first match, I'm gonna be a bit controversial with this, and Dave, we've just spoken about Tanahashi on the Forbidden Door preview. Swerve. When I first saw this match, I was like, take my money, please. I can't wait for this. It wasn't a bad match, don't get me wrong. It was a good back and forth. I just think Tanahashi's best days are behind him. And I think he was coming across rather slower in this than what I would have seen of him before. That may just be my. It didn't work as well as I thought it was going to work. I think that's the better way of me looking at it. Dave, what did you make of this?
I think we're lucky to have Josh on today, and obviously a big fan of New Japan. I get the impression that he's a total legend, and it's going to be a great match with MJF, but he's kind of slowing down a little bit looking at this match with Swerve. Not sure. I'll pass to you, Josh, because I think you're better equipped to answer that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, you're not wrong. Tanahashi has slowed down massively, and this is going to sound really harsh. I've never, since his matches with Okada in the Dome and some of those 30-minute sprints in the G1, I've never been overly thrilled by Tanahashi's work. I was a bit of a late bloomer to New Japan, but obviously back catalogue and got hold of it. Some of it, don't get me wrong, he is one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But last night proved that he's slowed down. He missed a few steps. It was clear. Swerve Strickland was clever enough to, obviously, when Tanahashi had slipped on the top rope, Swerve was quick to get up and react and think, okay, right, I'll capitalize on this, get knocked back down, and then the high five flow was hit. But I also think it was really harsh on Strickland last night, because the message to me was clear from the back. Take it easy, take it slow. Don't do anything hard, don't do anything fast, no big bumps, nothing really on the outside that's going to damage Tanahashi, because he's probably going to work 20, 25, maybe half an hour match with MJF to open Forbidden Door. So yes, I agree. He looked slow. I wasn't thrilled. I was exactly as you were saying, take my money.
Mhm.
But I feel that chains were on them both last night, and I feel for Swerve out of anyone involved. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would say we're probably going to see a much better match from Tanahashi tonight at Forbidden Door. As you rightly said, MJF got on the mic, not on the mic, he come from the scroll. The music played, he didn't come out, got on TV and said, I'm having the first match first. Basically, can't wait to get out of Canada, which if you look at Twitter, so does Will Ospreay, which absolutely cracked me up over the weekend with his Canadian trips. I said on the podcast, the reason I live about 20 minutes from Ospreay. I don't know the exact location, but he's not far from me in Essex. But
Well, he's got Don Callis's military grade security to look after him, hasn't he?
But the Twitter videos were absolutely, him and his wife were absolutely outstanding. If you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. So basically MJF come out. MJF was on the TV, said, he's going to open the show and he's going to get out of Canada as quickly as possible. The second match now, Ken, this one I couldn't wait for. And it, in my opinion, it delivered. Brody King, Andrade El Idolo. Last week it was Matthews and it was Take My Money. He announced it, Brody King, Take My Money. I would happily just sit there and watch these guys wrestle week in, week out. Brilliant match. It was a DQ finish, which is fair, I suppose. We can't, House of Black can't keep losing. Buddy Matthews tapped out last week. If Andrade then beat Brody clean, and I only leaves one left, and I'm hoping that's the direction that they're pushing this into, having a match with Malachi Black. But Josh, what a great match!
Yeah, A+ all around. Now, I'm quite biased when it comes to Andrade.
Yeah.
I have been disappointed with his AEW run. Yes, he's had injuries. He's had mixed bookings. I think he had a tag match with Malachi Black at Full Gear about 2 years ago. I can't remember who their opponents were. I think they lost that match. I was just disappointed. He's had this injury, 9 months rehabilitation. Obviously, he's been married. There's been a lot going on. He's come back. He looks banging. The shape he's in. I mean, that moonsault.
Yeah, brilliant.
Top to the outside over that corner turnbuckle, that corner ring post.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal. We haven't seen that side of him since NXT Gold. We haven't.
Yeah.
The Buddy Murphy match, amazing. Like amazing. Didn't miss a step. Didn't miss a step against Brody. You could hit every single chest slap last night. Even over a crowd that was buzzing, you could hear each slap. Andrade sold for Brody. Brody sold for Andrade. Yeah, I mean, loved it. Absolutely loved it. The DQ finish, I was a bit flat, but as an Andrade fan, I was almost like, I want to see him win again. But you're right. Let's slow the pace down. Let's have another match with Buddy Murphy. Let's get the end game being Malachi Black. But I will say, won't go on too much. The only thing I was disappointed with about the Naito reveal for Sting and Darby as the partner to face Suzuki God, I was really hoping they were going to build to Andrade being protected by Rush and Naito against the House of Black, and then having LIJ v HOB at Forbidden Door. So that was my only disappointing side of it. I think they've missed an opportunity there. But the build over a week, 2 weeks, not quite there. But yeah, A+, Andrade, Brody, more of the same, please.
I'm guessing, Dave, you totally agree with that comment.
Oh, man. Andrade, just sensational. I love the little homages that they're paying to each other as well in terms of Andrade and Charlotte. Charlotte did the pose, didn't she, on SmackDown? And the moonsault off the top. We've seen Charlotte do that in the past as well. Such a sensational match in general. Two guys that you don't want to see either lose, really. I'm a big House of Black fan as well. So I didn't mind the disqualification at the end, particularly because he'd been working on the knee and he went to apply the figure 4, which he'd transitioned into the figure 8. So then Buddy Matthews then turning up and causing the DQ. It doesn't really hurt either of them. In some ways, I would rather Andrade to win, as you say, Josh, and then go on a bit of a run here, because his AEW run has been a bit lackluster, even though his matches have been sensational. Every match he's been involved in, even the ladder match he was in before he went out, he worked that injured, and everything he touches turns to gold, really, in terms of what happens in the ring. So I like where this is going. I'm looking forward to any combination of Andrade against anyone in the House of Black. And it will be interesting to see if Roosh and Preston Vance kind of join forces with him again, because they're officially still a the faction Ingobernables, aren't they? So
Glad you fucking said that.
I got lucky, man. I got lucky with that. I need to record that and press play whenever I need to say it again, because big fan of Roosh as well, and the news is that he hasn't got any visa issues. I think he's just become a dad. I think that's probably more the reason why he's been off. So yeah, I love this match. Absolutely fantastic.
It was brilliant. Christian Cage came out next with the TNT title and Luchasaurus, and didn't really give anything away as to what was going on with that. So what is going on, Josh, with this TNT title? I will say this, and I've been very critical on this, Dave, and you may well have listened to me in the past. I'm not a fan of this title. I don't think it's been... I'm a big fan of titles meaning something. The fact that it's changed nearly 20 times in 3 years, it's kind of made it like the 24/7 championship for me. I want to see somebody come in, win it. Listen, I'm not saying Roman Reigns-esque run here, but I'm saying an Orange Cassidy's kind of run, or Orange Bollocks, as Sabre Jr. calls it. I want someone to come in and give that title some prestige. I can't see it being Christian Cage or Luchasaurus.
I've just got to drop out a sec. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right in that respect. It felt like a big deal with Cody and the Sammy Guevara ladder matches.
Yeah.
Mr. Brody Lee. The TNT title, when it came in and debuted, was massive. It was huge, and it meant something. We saw it again. It meant something. We saw it every week, and we saw these bloodbath matches because that title meant something to the company and to the individual wearing it. Now it's hot potatoed time and time again. Wardlow has had it twice, and we could talk about that for a long time, and I'm sure we all probably agree the booking of Wardlow. I don't care for it. I really don't. Has Brian Cage held the title? So many big, I think he has. I mean, so many big guys. I don't think he has, actually. It was FTW.
FGR, wasn't it? Not FTR, FTW championship.
Yeah, so my apologies. But yeah, Christian was filler last night in his hometown. We know Luchasaurus probably isn't a great speaker. I don't know why we think that. We've never heard him speak. Have you seen him under the mask? He's one of the best looking, handsome blokes on planet Earth. Why are you hiding that? I don't know what last night was. There's a purpose for it. There's a reason for it. But I also am worried that AEW don't know what the TNT title is and means to the brand.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, every other title they've got there seems to, TBS title with Jay Cargill, massive, regardless of what you think of Jay Cargill, she still held it for God knows how long, and only recently changed. Orange has done a great job with the International, or the All Atlantic as it was called at the time, done a great job with that. The world title hasn't changed hands massively, which is still giving it some respectability. Like I said, I'm not asking for a Roman Reigns style run. I just want that. I'm just old school in my approach. I love championships, and I love it when they change hands irregularly because it makes them more special when they do, and it does elevate the talent that do it. That's just my opinion on that. We'll move on while Dave is away. Owen Hart Foundation, Nightingale versus Nyla Rose. It was okay. I thought it was enjoyable. I'm glad Willow won. I think that made sense considering she's champion. She's got a match for the women's championship tonight at Forbidden Door against Toni Storm. First off, because you're a guest, we've not had you on before. Your thoughts on the Owen Hart Championship? Is it great that Owen Hart's being remembered as the way he should be?
Yeah, absolutely. There's no denying that. Could it be built better? Yes, I think so. Could it be advertised better? Yes. Should there be more qualifying matches? Excuse me. Absolutely. With no disrespect to Nyla Rose, great champion when she had the women's title. Why was she involved in the bracket? We haven't seen her for so long. I certainly haven't. Not on primetime TV. I just feel that the tournament to me would mean a lot more if there was more qualifiers to it. Like the old King of the Ring, round 1, round 2. Then your quarterfinals. Why have you just plucked 8 stars? Willow, I agree with. Sky Blue, I agree with. Anna Jay, I agree with. Athena, Billy Starks.
Yeah,
I agree with it. Maybe. Yeah, difficult. The match itself, yeah, I agree with you. So glad Willow won. She is riding a wave right now. So is someone else in that bracket who I think will meet in the final. Be Willow, Sky Blue final. I hope. Yeah, I like the tournament.
Yeah,
I just need more. Just need to see more advertising for it.
yeah. One of the things that kind of disappointed me a little bit was Adam Cole isn't defending. Britt Baker is. She's in the tournament. Adam Cole isn't in the match. I know he's got world title aspirations, stuff like that, but surely you should be defending what you won.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get a bye. I know Britt Baker's not got a bye, but as you say, more qualifiers could have moved them off down a bit further and say, well, if you win that, then you get last year's champion or something like along those lines. Perhaps. I don't know. That's
you're absolutely right. It needs to mean more. I mean, Owen, we know him. We don't know Owen Hart. We know Owen Hart. I'm glad you said that. I totally forgot that Cole and Baker won last year. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, that's pro wrestling. It's going to happen in every single company. There are going to be tournaments thrown together. 8 stars, male and female wrestlers are going to be thrown into it. Do we always need a backstory? No, we don't. But if it's an Owen Hart Memorial Cup for a wrestler so big, so well known, so beloved, I think there needs to be more build to that.
Definitely so. Although next week's match between Samoa Joe and Roderick Strong, take my money.
Yeah, you've taken my money over and over. They've taken my whole wallet. They're the guys. So yeah, buzzing.
And the winner of that, no more than likely, will be against CM Punk.
Yes, that's how the bracket looks, isn't it?
Yes.
So does that start the Joe Punk feud?
I think so. What? I'm actually getting your opinion quickly before we move on. The fact that Punk and the Elite and Hangman, or the Hung Bucks, are going to be in the same arena tonight since Brawl Out. Does it say to you, perhaps these things are now blowing over and they're going to, potentially, or is it a case of this is is it a ticking time bomb waiting to explode?
For me, it's still a very strange one because was it a work? Is it the biggest work that's going to draw the biggest amount of money to put bums on seats at Wembley?
Yeah.
I suppose. Do we believe everything we read and see? No, absolutely not. Clickbait, etc., etc. I think AEW will struggle as a company if there's falling outs between some of the biggest stars, the biggest names that put bums on seats, that sell the merch. We saw Punk getting booed out of the arena last night, which I'm sure we'll touch on.
Oh, yes.
But there was 13,000 fans there last night, maybe short of. I'd probably tell you now there's about 5,000 wearing Punk shirts. So the money is there. Have they put it past them? My question would honestly be, what have they put past them? Because as viewers, we really don't know what conversations go on. The whole I'm a Collision guy on Dynamite from Punk. If there's a big issue, you don't jab like that. No. Because you're just looking for trouble.
You're prodding the bear, aren't you?
Exactly. And I don't agree with that. And that's why I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. I'm not going to Twitter or whatever and go, oh, he said this. I don't like it. I'm not interested. I'm not invested. There's a reason behind it all. And we will all know one day the real truth. Dark side of the ring, baby.
That'll be an episode and a half, won't it?
Just. So yeah, sorry about the long explanation.
That's fine.
Genuinely, do I care? Yes, I do, because they're some of my favorite wrestlers in the world. Am I that bothered? No, but don't make it childish. This is Tony Khan's AEW now. He's paying your wage. He's paying your bills. The fans are buying your merch. Let's all be adults about whatever's gone on. Let's enjoy the show. Let's work together. And you know what? Give me Omega Punk. If we can't have Omega Ospreay 3 at All In Wembley at the end of August, give me Punk versus Omega, please.
Yes, definitely. Well, we'll find out. I can't see them being in the same arena if things wasn't agreed to by now. I know we don't know the full ins and outs. We don't know what's going on, but I'm pretty confident Tony Khan wouldn't make the mistake of bringing all them into the same arena without things in place. And hopefully, they're not doing a scrum after this, are they?
Let's hope not. let's hope not. I mean, that is poking the bear in it. Let's lads. Let's scrum on that.
Let's hope not. Powerhouse Hobbs got reintroduced to us. Well, they're not he needed reintroducing to us, but he did in a match that was about 3 seconds long. Which kind of when they said that Miro would be in action last week, and when they said that Hobbs would be in action this week, I kind of gathered where they were going with it. It would be a quick squash, 3 seconds. I'm really thinking about this because I like Hobbs. It's something about him. I don't know what. I don't think AEW is the right company for him. Maybe that's saying harsh. I can see him doing better things elsewhere than AEW. I don't know, Josh. What do you think about Hobbs and his booking?
I agree with your statement there. I don't think AEW is the right place for the big guy. Okay, Miro previously has had a monster push, and for whatever reason, it derailed, and he was gone for 9 months. He's now back being the same monster, no disrespect, that we saw before. So what's going to be different this time round? We've seen Hobbs return to action several times, hit that spine buster, which is banging, by the way.
Yeah.
And picked up the W on more than 5 occasions. It's not new to me. Luchasaurus is a big guy. We've seen what he's capable of. Big Bill, big guy.
Yep.
What I'm saying is AEW have got a lot of big guys. Brian Cage, Wardlow.
Yeah.
They're all big guys. And they just seem susceptible to poor booking, in my opinion, at AEW. Now, we know that WWE work well with the bigger guys. Hobbs has got the look of a champion, a world champion.
Yeah.
The attribute he can speak, I believe his promos. But yeah, you're right. AEW is not the right place. I was looking forward to his squash match. We knew it was going to be that. I'm a big Sean Spears fan. I was thinking, because Sean and Hobbs have worked on live events together recently, I was really hoping to see Sean in Canada. Even getting squashed by Hobbs in 2 minutes, I would have been fine with. Why aren't we seeing Sean Spears in Canada? What's going on there? He's not even on the roster for the game. There's a lot of questions about a lot of people, but I always say, and I keep the cap on, literally, that we never know what conversations go on backstage and why these things happen. But yes, excited to see Hobbs back, but please do something meaningful with him. And if you're going to give him the TNT title, for goodness sake, don't let him drop it after 4 weeks, please.
Yeah, that is the worst. That is the most critical thing I can about AEW. Before we get to main event, what are you thinking this collision as a whole? I'm enjoying these last 2 weeks. We just mentioned the talent that now is getting the time that wasn't getting the time because there was just massive roster, and you can't keep putting people on Dark and Elevation, and you cancel that. You bring Ring of Honor back, you buy Ring of Honor, you start putting some of the guys, Castagnoli, Kingston, and I'm a big Eddie Kingston mark. I think he's great, but probably because I've got the same shape as what he is. But that's not body shaming, that's true. I think Collision will definitely do good things for AEW, and I think it's already starting to, because we're seeing these great matches from the guys that we know can go, just never had the time so far.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks in a row, loved. Got up live last Saturday. Obviously, Andrade's return, Punk's return. All of that had me wanting to lose my sleep, my valuable sleep. The reason I didn't get up last night is because Forbidden Doors tonight and 2 nights in a row. Work Monday, not happening. But I've really enjoyed the pacing. Like one of you guys, apologies, one of you touched on earlier. The opening segment was both teams speaking about the match, and then we cut to the theme song, the video package. It was great. And then we had Kevin Kelly, who, by the way, I would say underrated. He's definitely not underrated, but underappreciated, I think, by a lot. Nigel McGuinness, mate. He's got the voice for it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I love everything about Collision. I love the 2 hour. I love the time slot. Selfishly, being in the UK, it's easier. Sunday morning. I loved Rampage when it began. I haven't ever stopped loving Rampage. However, that feels like a third wheel now. That hour, you can tell it's taped. Immediately after, you can tell people are tired. It's not always, when we had Punk's return on Rampage 2 years ago, was huge, like
Yeah.
huge. I want AEW to tell us that there's a brand split. And if there's not, why?
Yeah.
I want it to be made clear. If I'm seeing all these guys that are on your screen behind you on a regular basis, I am absolutely fine with that. But I want it to be made clear to me and the other viewers that there is a brand split. These are the championships on it. This is what's going to happen, because it will run out of steam with just the regular 20 on a 2-hour show. So all I'd say, AEW, if you're listening, please, just make it clear what the plan is for Collision.
Absolutely, yeah. I think Punk made a point because he bought the belt, he bought a bag out, didn't he? And basically saying that the old AEW championship was in that bag. So whether or not, as you say, but having said that, MJF has been announced next week for the show to wrestle for the first time. So that's going to be interesting to see what he does with that. We're pretty much certain he's going to be the champion walking out of that. I'm pretty sure he'll be. I can't see him losing anytime soon. But MJF announced next week to wrestle on Collision, so that's another reason to watch if you haven't done already. Main event time, I love this. And I'm going to say for one, I love the Guns presentation as the entrance is absolutely brilliant. I do want them to have many men, though. I would love that to happen. I know that I know there was a tweet about it and such, but I would love that. But the present, I mean, these guys, one of them looks like Billy Gunn in the Attitude Era, and one of them looks like Billy Gunn, like Smoking Gun, Billy Gunn. But these kids are fantastic, and they're growing every week. And again, give them the time, give them the show to do it. Their presentation, the entrance is great. Obviously, they had Juice and Jay Wyatt against CM Punk, FTR, and Starks. Great 8-man main event. Loved it. It was like it felt a bit old schoolish as well with FDR in there. I'm not surprised. Obviously the ending, I was surprised at the ending of the Guns winning, or the Guns and Juice and Jay winning, but I suppose Punk and that one last week can't keep the same thing week in, week out. Then it seems if the Guns had joined Bullet Club Gold, because they all done their little bang at the end. Josh, I thought it was great. I'm hoping you feel the same.
Oh, 100%. I've been a fan of the Guns since I first set eyes on them. The presentation, as you said, their entrance gear, the way they talk, the way they address themselves, I think they're perfect. And I wish I could find the tweet I put out there ages and ages ago. Gun Club, Bullet Club, because mate, the merch, I'm all in on it. Their outfits last night, the blue,
yeah,
and like the shoulder.
Shawn Michaels in like the sexy boy part.
They were just so good, and they're so clean and crisp in the ring. If they look fantastic, there's an audience for them. I'm heavily invested with the Guns. I think. Well, I'm trying to think when you were saying which one looks like Billy from the Attitude Era. I think that's Austin Gunn, the taller one.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I'd have to see it again.
It's so hard, but they're good-looking guys. They can work in the ring, and I'm here for the ride. I love the fact that Punk was the one, because it could have easily been Ricky Starks to be the one that Jay White, Juice, and the Guns worked on and kept in their corner. The corner work was great. Punk was looking for the hot tag. He eventually got it. FTR in a bit of a weird position, in my opinion, at the moment. I'm a bit worried that the same is happening with them, what happened before they re-signed. That's for another conversation. But yeah, Ricky Starks, I think, as soon as I knew he was involved in the match, I thought he was going to take the pinfall. But when he hit them 3 or 4 spears, there was one that he hit on one of the Guns that was really high.
It was the third one. The last one he hit was the one.
The last one, it just seemed really high. It was almost like a flying headbutt, basically. I love that. And then Juice catching him with that right hand on the outside. I can't think what he had in his hand. What was it in his hand?
Oh, he did say, and I can't remember what it was.
I think he's put it in his tape. I can't remember. Hitting that right hand. And then as soon as I knew that had happened, I knew Switchblade was coming. And just a great finish. Great to see Jay White getting the win for his team, because we need more Jay White. We need former New Japan World Champion. We need a bit more from him. If the Guns are being added to Bullet Club Gold, happy with that. Also, side note, please get Sean Spears, the perfect 10 club in the Bullet Club Gold. So if you're listening, Sean, bang bang club, get in. But yeah, all in all, for me, A+ main event.
Yeah, definitely so. You mentioned it before. CM Punk started, it was around 50-50, but it went 80-20 against. Obviously, it's in Canada. So we don't know what it's going to be like when they return to America, and not necessarily, obviously not in Chicago. We know the Chicago will get it. Canada is obviously going to get booed out of the building. They did keep mentioning that, and I'm thinking, is this going to be where they do a switch and turn him? There's talks about him, he's open to turning heel or whatever that, Do you think he goes heel, or does he stay as he is?
I think Punk is one of those, because of his ability on the mic, a bit like MJF, can switch it up anytime he wants. I mean, his merch is never going to change. His merch will always remain the same or similar. His attitude will always be the same, and he'll adapt to how the crowd take him, a bit like what Roman did. He adapted to that. So does he need a full-blown heel turn? I don't think he does. I don't think he needs to announce it by doing anything untoward, but I think they'll just have to go with the flow. I think they'll have to take the reactions in America, which is a fantastic point. Just see what happens, and then you can adapt. If he goes heel, working the Elite's going to be a lot better. If he's continued to be cheered, then I think that match with any member of the Elite is a little bit further away. So I'm easy come, easy go on that thought. But would I like a Punk heel turn? If you were asking me outright, hell yeah, I would.
What is he going to get over here when he comes?
He's going to get cheered out of the building. He's going to sell the most merch. I'm going to be screaming like a 13-year-old girl seeing Harry Styles for the first time. So yeah, I mean, yeah, just that's what it's going to be. But I think everyone will get cheered. Everyone will get cheered when they come over here. So it'll be very hard to. MJF's going to get probably one of the loudest cheers in Wembley. So it's going to be really hard to gauge. So the storytelling up to that point for All In, whatever the match card will be very important from those involved to make the audience want a winner, if that makes sense, because everyone is going to be so beloved when they come to London. August bank holiday, buzzing.
Oh, I can't wait for that myself. Collision was great. Josh, tell everyone about you've got a podcast, you do stuff. So tell everyone about what you're doing.
Yeah, so as basic as it is, what I will say is big shout out to my mate Adam Scholesy Talks. It was all his idea. He's so passionate about what he does and how he speaks about women's wrestling and Impact Wrestling. So he began with a channel called Scholesy Talks, where it was just a couple of minute videos, I think, talking about wrestling, what he loves, what he wants to see. And we got speaking. We've been speaking a while, and we got chatting. And like, look, our love of women's wrestling, our passion for women's wrestling should just come together. So we began, and we've run a few episodes called the Don't Call Me a Diva podcast, because I didn't want to be called divas anymore, where we highlight the week in wrestling, women's wrestling. We're having a great time with it. We have just begun to network this out now. And the network is going to be called Let Me Talk to You. I won't try and do it with the...
Let me talk to you.
Let me talk to you. I won't try it because I can't do it like LA. So that's coming. Scholes is going to continue to talk about Impact Wrestling. I'm going to focus on Collision. They're going to be shorts. Don't Call Me a Diva podcast is our main podcast. I'm going to add a little bit of mental health in there because some of my Twitter followers are fully aware of how passionate I am about that from past experiences. And I've got a bit of a following for that. So it's going to be a network. We're really excited. So yeah, please, all I would say is it was all Scholesy. He's so passionate about it. I am fully in support of him. I'm here every single day for him, but it was his idea. So at Scholesy Talk, Let Me Talk to You network, Don't Call Me a Diva podcast. Yeah.
There you go. That's his. I'd watched one today. Actually, it was great. I must admit, it was a
Thank
great
you.
one. And we do Impact now. We've started to do it recently and stuff. But I'm going to do a bit of promotion now. 4 weeks today, July 23rd, in Boreham Wood, we are putting on our own wrestling show. Yes, we are. With the team at Ignite Wrestle Pro, we are presenting Buckle Up. It is going to be a showcase of the best of British talent. We can't wait for it. The main event's triple threat match for the Ignite Championship. Corey McRae smashing Mike and Connor Mills. We have got someone that's not long fought Chris Jericho in PWG, Michael Oku making his debut as well as Scotty Rourke, who is actually on the podcast this week. We can't wait for that. There is going to be a very special announcement on that show as well, which will continue our partnership with Ignite. I can't say anything at this moment in time. Maybe, Josh, you may get it off air in a minute, but the rest of you are going to have to wait. There may be a teaser dropping soon about it, but I can't say any more than that. But Josh, it has been great to talk to you all things AEW today. It has been wonderful to have you on. I'm sure Andy will send his apologies to you. I know Dave unfortunately had his caravan raided by his kids. He's just come back from the arcades, which is why he dropped off. So he sends his apologies. But guys, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with Josh King. I've been your host, Adam Cousins. Until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and we'll see you soon.